Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel and stream and another chapter 6 I believe it is, working on this guy right there. That is our 2021 Ford Bronco. We're going to run the intro and we'll get into it. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on this. I feel like we're going to be finished up today, guys. I think we're right there, we're right there. Yeah, just right there. Yes, right here. We're just about finished. So last time we got the chassis put together on the body. As you can see here with it sitting on my desk, it's really funny to me how the camera view, this color is different than the color here. These two are different, and that's funny to me. I don't know if you guys find it funny. This camera right here, that color there really is more to what it actually looks like in real life. Okay, so to my eyes, that's the color, not this bright yellow that's appearing on the desk here. Anyway, we got the body put together. I did some stuff off camera, I apologize, but it was pretty simple. I just put the brake discs on. You guys saw me put one of them on last time. I put the other three on, and then I put the wheels on. And the wheels are literally just, I pushed as hard as I friggin' could to get them to click, but they won't click. So my wheels are kind of static. They can come off, right? They just will not clip. They don't click in. There's nothing for it to click. It just won't click. And honestly, I think what the problem is, I'll change the camera and I'll show you what I think the problem is. When you put the little inserts into the center, I don't think you're supposed to push them down as far as you can. I think they should be flush with this edge here. And that would give a little bit of a gap for that little thing in there to actually get through there and click. I think that's what the issue is there's no space, so it just goes in and there's nothing for it to go spread like that, right? And I think that's what the problem is, because I can push and push and push and she will not click. There's nothing to click. It just won't. And all four of them are like that. So I think what I'm going to wind up doing, I think I'm just going to glue them all on. I'm going to take them all off now. I'm going to put some glue on. This one's the same. This one's tight. This one might actually be glued on. I may have gotten, so yeah, so I've glued it to the rim. This one too. So this one was glued on. I'm going to re-glue this one. Let's see what's going on here. Can I get that out of there? Yeah, so it's just stuck. So I'm going to have the same issue with this. I'm going to rip this off here because it's not really glued. It's not really glued on there. It's just a little stuck. So see, it's just stuck. So we're going to re-glue and redo. Where is my glue? We're going to re-glue and redo, and then we're going to glue the rest of these onto the truck here. So let's grab this, put this back on. So since you didn't get to see me do this, you get to see me do it after all. Line that back up on there. Okay, I'm going to put some glue on it. Glue in there. Okay, do the same on this side. Where's my brake disc? If I could redo this over again, there's a few things that I would do in different order. For example, I wouldn't put the mirrors on until the end. I wouldn't put the bumper on until the end. I wouldn't put the fender flares on until the end. Those would be my last step things if I were going to redo this. Okay, so let's put some glue on here because we're going to be gluing our wheels on. And we'll just pick two here, go like that, and like that. Give them a good press. And there we go. Our tires are glued on. Okay. And we'll do the same on the front. Bunch of glue on the axle. And we'll put our fronts back on. And we'll give them a press. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to leave them like that. The other thing I did off camera is I put our side little black things on there. Okay, so those are installed now too. And there we go. So I want to make sure we're all level and we're straight, and there we go. Alrighty, so that's our tires. At least that's 4 of them. We have our rear tire. I have that installed on here, right? I think I showed you guys putting that on there. So 4 little pegs are going to go into the 4 holes into the back here. Oh, another thing is I did a couple of decals. I got the Ford decal there. I got the Bronco decal. I got our Badlands decals on the fenders. I did the decals on the taillights. I actually just glued these on just a few minutes before recording. Yeah, just glued the decals onto the taillights. I painted the perimeter of the taillights black. Looking at photos, there's supposed to be a black like rubber seal or whatever that goes around the taillight lens. So for realism, I did that. And then I just glued them on. They just press on. That's good enough, and that's it. That's done. Okay. As for our spare tire, we've got to line it up with the 4 holes there, and then put them on something. Hunt around. There we go. She's going to line up just like that, and that's going to be our spare tire on there. Okay. So let's put some glue onto that. I'm going to use this glue. Okay. And we're going to go doink and doink, doink, doink. And then a touch on there. I should have just put it on the pegs, so I'm going to fix that. Put it on the pegs. Okay. Fortunately, you can't see a lot of this, so if you do happen to screw up on your alignment, it's quite alright. Okay, so just give that a second or 5 to cure a little bit and hold on to that tire. We're going to have to put a rear bumper on. Maybe I should have put the bumper on first. Let's get that off. The rear bumper needs to go on. Where is my rear bumper? It's back here. Here's our rear bumper. See, that's one big criticism I have for this. The instructions, they don't tell you that the front rear bumper needs to go on first. You can assume that you're going to go boom, 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 but we don't know for sure, right? So they should have us tell us to put which ones. Have some steps. Show us the steps in which case it's all supposed to go in. So let's test fit this before we commit to any glue. Try and get our pegs lined up there. And once again, the pegs don't want to go in the holes. So let's open up our holes. Par for the course with this kit, man, I tell you. Pegs don't want to fit in their holes. Okay, you want to go on the floor? That's fine. Okay, she fits good now. She's a good fit, fits everywhere. It's a good fit. Okay, let's put some glue. Here and here. There we go. We got a couple of other little points of contact where it's contacting the frame, so that's good. If we want to add some more glue, we can. I don't think we're going to have to, but we could. We could. In fact, why not? Right there and right there. Okay, now let's get back to our spare tire. We have to reapply our glue here onto our pegs. And get her lined up again. There we go. You see? It's important because that kind of sits right over the bumper like that. Okay, I'm just going to let it sit here like this for a minute. Let that glue on the spare tire kind of do its work. Because I think that's just about it for actually gluing things. No, it's not. We've got our front tow hooks. Our front tow hooks need to go on. Those are going to be the last thing we glue on this thing. Let's see, you're going to hold there. Yep, our tire's holding. Although I don't feel comfortable with it like that. I don't want to rely on it like that, so I want to just let it sit like this for a minute. So I'm going to just put our truck down over here, just for a minute, while we get these off of the sprue. One, two. That's it for that. Hopefully I don't have to repaint this. Hopefully. Remember, they had this putting this back on like step 2 or 3 or something like that. Back at the beginning of the build. Have to figure out where that was. It was right around in the beginning there somewhere. Ah, here we go. Step 6. It was in step 6, and they're in the rear, not the front. I thought they went on the front. Oh well, I guess it's the rear. They go on the frame there. In the rear frame. They go in these two holes here and here. Another thing that makes me glad that I waited until now. So she's going to go in. That was a good catch. Okay, she's going to go in right like that. And as usual, so everything else, it's funny, the peg is so small and yet it won't go in that hole. Are they lefts and rights, maybe? It's not even a full peg, it's only half a peg. It's not even a full circle peg, it's just half, but yet it still doesn't want to really go on there. Well, it goes, but it doesn't want to stay. Okay, fine. Let's put some glue on it, onto the peg there. Okay. And using the tweezers to line it up, but I'm going to use this to hold it down. There. There's one. because you don't want to really go into the hole. There's our second one. So it's not really fitting in the hole very well. So just line it up, put a little extra glue. A little extra on you just in case. Yeah, so they're not really sitting flat. It's almost like it would be better if I just got rid of the peg altogether. But anyway, our tow hooks are in. Okay. So, that's that. So, I had mentioned before about license plates that the truck doesn't actually come with any. That just comes with a couple of decals. So you can put decal on the back of the truck. You've got options here, whatever you'd like to do. Well, we also have decals here for the front that's supposed to go on each side. So I need to do that. But I also have a license plate that's going to go on the front. So this is my front license plate right here. So like I said, I just cut a piece of styrene. And painted it black, and it's going to go on the top of the front bumper. It's basically just going to sit like this on the front. So I want to have it sit like that, which means it's going to be touching the grill and the bumper to make it straight. So that's where it's going to be coming in contact, kind of like that. So I want to make sure it's centered like so, and I'm going to get some glue. Now if I want to kind of get in behind it if I can. There we go. Okay. Get a little bit on this side too. There we go. So there's our front license plate. Of course, in British Columbia, Canada, you need to have a front plate. So we got one there. Okay. There we go. All right, so that's going to be it for gluing things. As far as our roof just gets put on top like that and just sits there. I do have a few decals to put on, so that's what we're going to do now. We'll just put a few decals on and then we're going to call it done. So I got my water, and I got my decals, and I got my scissors. So our front side marker lights go on. So we got these guys here, so we just cut them out. Now these decals are probably the first decals I've ever encountered. These come off quicker than any other decals I've ever seen. I put them in the water, and almost immediately these are ready to come off. Almost immediately. I have never encountered decals that are ready to come off so quickly. And this is going to go right there. I'm going to take the roof off because it's going to fall off anyway. Just take a Q-tip and rub it underneath there to get any air bubbles out. Just reposition. There we go. So there's our front marker light installed on that side. Let's grab this one. Okay. There we go. And there we go. There's our passenger one done. All right, those are done. I don't think there's any other decals I need to put on. I think that is it. We do have center Bronco decals for the wheels. We could do those. We're going to need 5 of those. So let's grab 5 out of here. It's funny, they give us 6. They give us 6 of those. Not that we need 6, but a lot of the decals in this kit I've noticed we have doubles of. They give us 2 of each. Almost like to say, hey, in case you screw them up, you have extras. So let's count 1 and 2 and 3, and it's already not even 5 seconds. Not even 5 seconds in the water. And these are ready to come off. See that? These are going to go into the center of our wheels. And you got to get the water out. That's what Q-tips are for. Of course, my Q-tip's not being very water absorbent. Seriously? Come on. Q-tips are supposed to suck up water. There we go, that one's it. Let's just make sure it's centered here. There we go. Alright, let's get another one. Okay. The beauty of this is if your sticker is not straight, it doesn't matter. Wheels turn after all. You're not supposed to suck the decal up, seriously. Okay. There's those. Let's get to the other side here. There's that one. This one wants to kind of fart around for some reason. Still wants to fart around. I would prefer to stick to my tweezers rather than the kit. Here we go. There you go, nice and centered. And finally, well, we can't put one on the back. I didn't realize that. We can't put one on the back. So my 5th one is useless. Now, normally I would use my Mark Fit Super Strong on all my decals, but I have found, as much as the decals in this kit, they do like to, you know, they come off the paper almost immediately. They also, when I put my Mark Fit Super Strong on them, they like to curl up and just do that on me and not actually stick to anything. They'll just curl up on themselves. So we're going to see. So I put them in there and we'll see how they do. If these will actually cooperate and stay flat. And that should be it. Okay, anything else I want to put on there? Let's have a look. I don't think there's any more decals I need to put on here. No. That's it. See, I've even got 2 extra tail light decals to put on there, bing and bang, if I wanted to do that. So the last little detail I need to do, there's actually 2 details I need to do. One is the rear license plate. We need to put a rear license plate on there. And I need to paint the door handles. See, I have left the door handles until the end because I keep on grabbing it and I'm grabbing them by the door handles all the time. So I painted those. I'm not waited till last. In fact, I've touched them so much that I've worn off the paint almost down to the white plastic underneath. So that's why I wait until now to paint the door handles. But first, let's get the rear license plate on. The rear license plate I have for this is literally a sticker. It's a sticker that I printed out just on sticker paper. And I have a little baggie here that I've put it in because I've got a few things to go with this. And let me just get these out so I can find it here. Here we go. Put these back in for future use. All right. So, like I said, this is just literally sticker paper. Need to get underneath of it here and separate it from its backing. There we go. Okay, get this lined up on there. Going onto the bumper, right about there. Perfect. And just give this a little rub down. There we go. We've got our rear license plate on there. All right. Now, door handles be the final touch. Final touch before we call it done. One. and 2. All right. I'll quickly clean up my brush here. Cleaning up the black on your brush is always hard. It's still, even as many times as I've run it through the thinner here, still bristles don't want to come out perfectly clean, but it is what it is. And with that, we can put our roof on and call this guy done. She's finished, guys. That is our truck. That is our 2021 Ford Bronco finished. She's all done. And so with that, I'm going to take a few pictures of this little baby and I'll put it up on my Instagram and you'll be able to see pictures there. Now I might do it on my X channel also, and so you might be able to check those out there. So definitely check those out when it's all done and upload it. I want to say this kit went together very well. It's a very good kit. Parts fit really good, except for where you need to put a peg in a hole going in. A lot of the holes needed to be opened up a little bit. I want to say 90% of the holes needed to be opened up in order for the pegs to fit. So keep that in mind. But other than that, everything went together very nicely. It's a very nice kit and it looks really good. The detail's really good on this. I will give them that. That's for sure. I do like it. It looks cool. It's a nice modern kit and goes together really well. So that's going to end it, guys. This is it. This is my last video until, well, maybe my trip to Korea. And then I'm not going to be doing any videos for about 3 weeks. Yeah, so I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on my little Bronco adventure. And we'll see you all in the next one.